Audio podcast. The Economic Impacts of the COVID-19 Crisis, Part 2, Worsening Inequality Within and Across Countries. The economic impacts of the pandemic were especially severe in emerging economies where income losses caused by the pandemic revealed and worsened some pre-existing economic fragilities. As the pandemic unfolded in 2020, it became clear that many households and firms were ill-prepared to withstand an income shock of that scale and duration. Studies based on pre-crisis data suggest, for example, that more than 50% of households in emerging and advanced economies were not able to sustain basic consumption for more than 3 months in the event of income losses. Similarly, the average business could cover fewer than 55 days of expenses with cash reserves. Many households and firms in emerging economies were already burdened with unsustainable debt levels prior to the crisis and struggled to service this debt once the pandemic and associated public health measures led to a sharp decline in income and business revenue. The crisis had a dramatic impact on global poverty and inequality. Global poverty increased for the first time in a generation, and disproportionate income losses among disadvantaged populations led to a dramatic rise in inequality within and across countries. According to survey data, in 2020 temporary unemployment was higher in 70% of all countries for workers who had completed only primary education. Income losses were also larger among youth, women, the self-employed, and casual workers with lower levels of formal education. Women, in particular, were affected by income and employment losses because they were likelier to be employed in sectors more affected by lockdown and social distancing measures. Similar patterns emerge among businesses. Smaller firms, informal businesses, and enterprises with limited access to formal credit were hit more severely by income losses stemming from the pandemic. Larger firms entered the crisis with the ability to cover expenses for up to 65 days, compared with 59 days for medium-sized firms and 53 and 50 days for small and micro enterprises, respectively. Moreover, micro, small, and medium enterprises are overrepresented in the sectors most severely affected by the crisis, such as accommodation and food services, retail, and personal services. For more audio podcasts like this, please subscribe.